welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in logical order. Well, once you've done your analysis work, it's time to design the form. The more work you did in analysis, the more complete your form is going to look. For beginning programmers, this is difficult. Much of this comes with experience. It'll get easier. Still, scratching out a picture of what your application is going to look like helps you in the programming end of things. And remember, this does not have to be perfect. You can make all kinds of changes. As you code, you can make all the changes you like. A good form design, however, will minimize the number of changes you'll have to make. And as you design your form, make sure you give good, meaningful names to all the objects you'll be referencing in code. Names like button 1 make absolutely no sense whatsoever, and you'll wonder what it is when you're coding. Words like search button or btn search make much more sense. In this video, we are going to use the hierarchy chart to create our form in the way we think it will work best. There's a good chance we'll end up changing the hierarchy chart as we go through this. There's just as good a chance that we'll end up changing our form as well when we get into the programming step. The tools we've created up to now are just guidelines. In fact, long after our program is complete and running as version 1, we'll probably want to make changes, new changes or enhancements, resulting in a version 2 and a version 3 and a 4 as we go on. Check this out. We're going to create our form. Okay, after our analysis, we did put together the beginnings of a form. We added some buttons to the bottom, all the functionality that it's going to do. And now it's a chance to start putting a form design to those different buttons, that different functionality we're going to be trying to create here. And so if you're looking at the form right now, what we want to do first probably is work with one of the buttons. And probably a logical one to handle first would be the search button. So how are we going to do that basically? Well, we have to think about that. Well, we're probably going to end up looking at this thing from the standpoint of we've got the search, add, delete, edit, save, edit, all these things. We're probably going to be doing each function separately, and we don't want to crowd this form. So the thing we want to do is put up a group box. So I'm going to go to my common controls right here, and I'm going to grab right down, actually the common control, I'm going to go down to the containers, and I'm going to grab the group box, which looks like this, and I'll be able to move that wherever I like. And what I'm going to do with this group box is basically set it up something like this. Let's kind of give it some rough numbers, say 500 by, make it look something like that, and we can put it then somewhere on our form, somewhere like this. Then we can kind of adjust our form however we want to like it. So we got the group box sitting right here. I'm going to end up giving it a name up here. We're going to call it, in the text box, we're going to call this search, so we can see the difference right as we're looking at it. And I'm also going to give it a font. We're going to make everything much larger again so we can kind of see things as we go through this. What do we want to make that font? We're going to stick with 10 and bold, I think, on most of these things. So we'll go ahead and give this a size of 10 and give it a bold. So it gets a true on that. And basically, here's our little search thing. We can put things in this thing now and make it work. Now we'll figure out what we're going to do with the buttons later. So the fact that this thing is, however this form is going to be, we won't worry about the actual size of the form until we actually put all the pieces together and make it all work. So what are we going to want in here? Well, we're going to want a label. And that label, it's going to be sitting inside the form, and it's going to simply say, select a record. And nicely, it grabs the functionality of the group box and uses the font right away, so I don't have to bother changing that. So this is basically what we want here, is just to set it up like this. So we're looking at it. It doesn't need to have a programming name because we're not going to refer to this thing in program. So we can leave it as it is, and we'll also allow it to be auto size false on this thing. Now we could even make it auto size true. It wouldn't make really much difference. Auto size, we have right now auto size true. Yeah, I think we do want to make it auto size false. I'll show you why. We're going to make auto size false on this thing because we're going to size this thing. Because the next thing we want to put on here is a list box. So I'm going to grab a list box and put it on this form. And it's going to sit over here someplace. And we're going to kind of stretch this thing out and make it look good. And it's going to have a name, a programming name called LBX record name search. And we'll put that in there like that. And we'll lay it in like that and put our button above this thing. We're going to kind of make this thing go up a little bit now. And we're going to actually make it the same size. So we're going to go ahead and highlight the two of these things and format, make same size width. Then we're going to line the lefts. And we're also going to take this label then, and we're going to go down here and adjust it so that it is in the center. And it'll look just something like that. So we've got our search mechanism sitting here like this and looking fairly decent. The only other thing we're going to have now, we can actually steal the label here that we've got right here and pop it on here and do Control-C, do Control-V, and shorten it. And we want to create two things here. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to call this one Login ID. And I'm going to make a copy of it. And I'm going to call this one password. And by placing those things in there, I want to be able to actually have a couple of labels that are going to display those things. So I'm going to grab, we can grab this one again, place it over here. But we're going to make some changes to it. We're going to make this one, we're going to give this one a border style, a fixed single. And we'll get rid of the pieces that's in the middle here. Now we can actually see it. And we're going to give it a name that we can use in programming. And we'll call this thing LBL, label, login ID, search. I'm naming it because this label is going to be part of the search screen, but it'll be the login ID. So we're going to identify it that way. I'm also going to make a copy of it. And this is going to be the same thing, basically, except it's going to be label LBL password search. And where do we want to put these things? Well, let's kind of adjust them. Let's kind of make the size on this thing, 157 by 23 is going to be good. That looks good. And we'll use that as our model and then make all three of these the same size. Format, align, format, make same size, widths, and there they are. They're kind of just right now. We can place this one in a location. That'll move it over here. And we can adjust all of these to be that same location size by formatting their rights. That looks good. And we kind of want to take the four of them and vertical spacing make equal. And probably separate out a little bit. Actually, one more thing. We want to create a button on here. We want to be able to exit the search. Once we've done a search here, we want to be able to exit it and get out. So we're going to create a button. We can grab one of these, put it up here. It too is going to be the same size as these guys. And then we'll align it so it's sitting in there fine. Now we'll grab all three things, all five things I should say, and format vertical spacing make equal. That's actually not too bad the way it looks. That could be just fine here. And we want to change this button's name to become exit search. That looks pretty good. I'm thinking these guys can get tightened up a little bit. Decrease. And then move them up manually so they're away from that button to some degree. And that kind of looks a little bit better than it might be. Do I have a programming name on this thing? I do not, and we want to call this button exit search. So everything that we're going to refer to in program, because it's inside this panel, we want to give it the panel name so we know what it is when we actually look at it in code. It's a button. But the exit, it's going to be an exit button, but it's going to be an exit with the search panel. So that's what we want to know here. Same with the password label. Password search, that kind of thing, where it all becomes. And that's pretty much all we need to do right here is put these pieces in here. So that's what our search is going to do. And we probably don't need to go any further than that. So that gives us our search button. Oh, let's see, we like to put password keeper and be on top of this thing. So let's go ahead and do that. We can grab a label, this one right here maybe, pop it up here. Oh, that became very ugly. We're going to call this one password keeper. Give it a font. We'll make this one 12. Make it bold. And then I'm not going to center it in the form right now because the form is going to be adjusted later, but we could do it. But it's going to be moving because we do want to have it centered on top when we actually get down to it. So we could probably shorten this guy a little bit and then move him over like this. And we're fine. We've got our password keeper. Does this thing work? Let's do a file save and do a test. When I'm running applications like this, I often test these things quickly. Here's what it looks like. Looks fine. That's kind of what we wanted to do. Okay, good. All right. We won't program any of these things. We just want to get these forms set up. So let's get out here and do this kind of thing. The next thing I want to do, I think we got this thing in place, is do our add button. So we're going to work with this button next. How do we do that? Well, we're going to create another panel. So I'll do it with another group box. I'll bring up another group box on here. It comes up. What I want to do is I'll just move it over this section here. And actually what I want to do is maybe put it up in the corner because I want to use this one and this one then to format the same size. Format, make same size, both. And there it is. Now I'm going to format and align their left and format and align their tops. And now one covers the other. That's great. So we're looking at this particular guy. Now we got a brand new one sitting up here. I'm going to go ahead and call this one add. So I'll give it a name of add, ADD. By the way, it's going to be group box add. And I'll call that GBX. And also give it a font of 10 and bold. I don't think I named the search box, so let's go ahead and send this thing to the back. The search box pops up here, and I can then see it what it is. And I'm looking at the group box 1. Yeah, this used to be GBX search. Because we want to refer to these things in code and make all that happen. So I can now take the search box, send it to the back, and I got my pieces on here. What I want to do, well, I want to put some labels on here again. So we're going to go ahead and add a label. Actually, one way to do this is actually to take your add button and kind of make your panel larger. As long as we have the same size here, we can kind of use the full length of this form to design what we need to actually design and put them in place. So I'm going to add my add button here. Later, I'll put it on top of the search button and make it work. So let's do it that way. I want to this label's right here. I want to grab this guy and move him onto this label here, onto this group box here. And I got the group box named, so we're good there. I'm going to take that label and I'm going to give it the data, enter record name, and give it a quote there. I also want to give it I don't want to give it anything to do with the label, so I can leave it alone, but I want to make 2 more copies of it. And I've got those things sitting right here. I want to take those and I want to change this one here to enter login ID. And this one, oh, I need a capital E on that one. And this is going to be enter password. That's great. These will remain auto-sized to true. And what I'll do is I will write justify their names, so they're looking at the same thing here. I'll adjust where they're going to be there. We're also going to need some text boxes to come in here at this point. So we'll grab a text box, pop it in right over here. That first text box is going to be the record name, and we're going to call it txt record name, which tells us what it's going to be called, and then add for the add form, add group box that we're sitting on. So we'll put that in place there. We'll grab this guy. Is this font correct? I think it is. So it's all set here. Double check that. Yeah, 10 bold. Make 2 copies of this because we're going to be having a text login ID add and a txt password add. And those three things will all be justified to the liner lefts. Kind of move them together now. Let's go ahead and let's kind of put this thing in a good spot. I've got some notes. Let's see, about 1451 will be a good spot to put this guy, and this one will be at 5293, and this one will be at, and then we can kind of justify this one where it wants to be. Take this one and modify these two and adjust their lefts. Their size should probably be a little larger as well. Extend them out. Actually, that's just right. That's fine the way they are. We're going to kind of adjust them a little bit and probably modify where they're going to actually be. This looks good. But what I can do now is I can actually format, make same size, height, and then also format, align their middles. It might be adjusted this way. Format, make same size, height, and format, align middles. And same with this one. Make same size, height. Look like they already are. And then format, align middles. And they're looking pretty good there. When we, if you remember our chart, when we do an ad, we may want to cancel the ad, or we may want to go and continue this. So we're going to use these two buttons here. We'll grab the exit search button here and bring it over here and paste it twice. And one of them will be called post record, and the other one will be exit ad. They'll both get a name in code. This one will be button exit ad, and this one will be button post record. I don't need to put the ad part in there because we're only going to post here. I believe we'll be okay on that. Yeah, these look pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and do this one and adjust this, and I'm going to align their middles. So they're kind of even now. So we got that form is all done, and that looks pretty good at this point in time. Now, the interesting thing about this, because we're going to post the records and add them here, we really don't need these buttons anymore. So we can kind of get rid of this cancel button and get rid of this update for the ad, because we're going to do it inside the panel. So we've come to adjust our program somewhat by doing it this way, by getting rid of these particular buttons. We needed that functionality, but it turns out it's going to be inside the form right in here as we go in this thing. So that pretty much takes care of that guy. Next thing, let's go ahead and what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take actually this one and then hold this one down, and now I want to go ahead and align their lefts and format align their tops. Now one's in front of the other. And I want to grab another group box, and I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to take this one and format make same size. And this one is going to be called delete. We're going to change the font to 10, and we're going to make it bold so it's ready to go. What are we going to do with this? We may be doing the same thing we did with the search mechanism when we looked at our. In fact, let's go ahead and take our add button here and send it to the back, and use the search here, because I think what we want to do is we want to kind of grab something like this, bring it over here, and make a change to it and call it select a record to delete, and then move that thing up someplace. And we also want to grab this and lay it in here. You know what I could do is actually kind of align these two there. Format align top, And that allows me to line these guys up roughly where they are. That looks kind of good. And then this thing can perfect. That puts that in place. And we can grab all this and lay it in here. Because we're going to use labels again for the password. Put them in place. We do have to change some names here. We want to call this thing LBX record name delete. This one is going to be called, this will be label login ID delete. Login ID delete. And this will be LBL password delete. We're going to want two buttons. We're going to go ahead and grab these two, lay them in here. This one is going to be exit delete. And it'll also be named that. And this one will be delete record. And we'll call it button delete record. And we'll lay these things down here. I'm going to bring this stuff up a little bit. Back, let's go ahead and just kind of raise them. Bring this thing up here, bring that delete record in here. Make some final adjustments on this thing as to how we're going to make it look. Format vertical spacing. Make equal. And then lower it. And I think we'll be good here. That's kind of look good. If we got everything named, button delete, yep, password, this is label, and this has been named. So that's pretty much our delete record, what we need there. So that's going to be fine. That's going to do our deletion for us. We can now take it, format align lefts, and format align tops. So we know it's there. Now we can look at the edit piece on this thing. Edit piece would be kind of similar to add. So let's take a look at add once. Here's add. If we took add and made a copy of it and do a control C and then do a control V over here. At that time I got the add. Okay, good. This is good. We'll move it over here. We're going to call this one edit. We're going to make this change record name. Change login ID. And change password. This will become change record. And this will be exit edit. Let's give these things a name and code. This will, of course, be named button exit edit. This one will be named button change record. This will become text record name edit. Remember in the edit and the add one we've called record name add. This will be text txt login ID edit and txt password edit. I'm going to align their lefts here, or the rights, looking good. And we're going to take these three and kind of move them off a little bit. So they're looking good there. That looks fine. And they're pretty much in place where they need to be. So this piece is done now as well. And once again, Since our change and exit are here, we're not going to have a cancel and update for these guys, so we can literally get rid of this and get rid of this and put that in place. So that pretty much, let's go ahead and take this one, or take this here, and this one, and format align lefts, and format align top. And now we can close our form up, bring it in something like this, and then kind of take this bar of buttons we've got here and format and center them on the form, at least temporarily, horizontally. And did I name everything on this edit thing? I think I did. Did I edit the form? The group box, no. Group box, GBX edit. And there we go. What does this thing look like right now? Let's go ahead and do a file save and start. And here's what it looks like. The functionality doesn't exist in any of these things right now, but we kind of got an idea of where this stuff's going to look like. We might modify it and upgrade it later. And I think there's more changes to the form that are going to happen. But right now, we've got a working model that we can start to program. That's what we'll do next. We'll start to code this thing. And if we need to make changes to the form on the fly, we will. And we'll update our hierarchy chart as well. That's it. Like analysis, creating a form can take a while. The more sophisticated your program is, the more complexity goes into your form and your code. That's why I program like a turtle. Slow and easy. Cover all the bases. Rabbits spend most of their time fixing their code. Speaking of code, that's our next step. In fact, it's our next several steps. In the next videos, I'll be programming this application in pieces. We'll start at a logical starting point and move forward step by step. When we're all done, this is going to be a terrific program. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. If you get a chance, please subscribe. That way, you'll be notified when anything new is available. We'll see you next video. Take care.